2021, I think I'm most looking forward to hopefully the fact that we won't have to wear masks all the time, and I'm looking forward to finally being able to gather with my family.
I think the reason I'm most excited for 2020 to be over is to hopefully not wear masks at some point in 2021 and to have everybody back in school like it's a normal school again. Even though school year's been pretty good, it would be nice to get back to normal.
What are you looking forward to in 2021?
I'm most looking forward to moving to London to go to university over there.
Why are you excited that 2020 is going to be over?
Oh, Lord, so many reasons. Probably the most excited because the vaccine is on its way, and that means I'll get to see my family again, which is pretty exciting.
I don't know, 2020 is really stressful, and I'm just happy to get a fresh start, like you said, and hopefully everything goes back to normal.
Today on Panther TV, the COVID-19 vaccinations are approved and underway. But what was it like to be part of the first steps to get there?
Local food pantries see an increased need for food and volunteers.
And what started as a South Shore restaurant has grown to include locations around the country. Hear how Chef Paul Wahlberg got his culinary start. Panther TV starts right now. Good morning, Plymouth South. Thanks for joining us. I'm Michael Conway.
And I'm Savannah Lyons. We are now more than a month into the start of COVID-19 vaccinations.
Before the vaccines were approved, thousands of people participated in trials, including one Plymouth South teacher. Panther TV's Tyler Spicer has more.
Over the last 2 months, millions of Americans have received one of 2 COVID-19 vaccines, and many others are still in the trial phase. Excitement was high as the approval of COVID-19 vaccines signaled a potential light at the end of a tunnel for what has been a grueling year. While many are highly anticipating their chance to get vaccinated, many also have their reservations about such a new solution.
I think it's good that we finally have something brought to market after several months. Several biotech companies have brought out a drug that can be used as a vaccine. I think it's just scary that there hasn't been a long-lasting trial for over a year, so we don't know what the long-lasting effects are.
Some are hesitant. Others volunteered themselves to be part of the trial last summer when even less was known about the vaccines. English department, Mr. Eric Walker, was one of those people.
I was in a phase 1 trial, so there were only 20 of us in the Boston area and really in the whole country trying a new drug from Johnson & Johnson. And basically it involved going into Boston, days of prep, meaning they had to check everything about your health. So they only needed people, because it was the first stage of a trial, that were healthy. You had to be at the correct weight or underweight.
Mr. Walker says once you pass that stage, scientists and doctors began studying potential participants weekly.
To check what your blood pressure was, what your heart rate was, everything that they needed to know about you as a specimen to be in a trial. And then they gave you either a vaccine or a placebo.
Out of 20 participants in the trial, just over half actually received the vaccine.
I'm pretty sure I got the placebo because I didn't have any reaction to the shot. And a lot of people in the trial who did have a reaction had a fever for a few hours and were achy, and I kind of was perfect. Then later on in the summer, I ended up having a medical problem, and then I kind of found out that I didn't have any antibodies, so that kind of probably means I got the placebo. Then what I had to do is all summer long and all fall and now all winter, every couple of weeks I have to go back in, and what they'll do is they'll check my blood pressure, they'll check my temperature. That's how they're checking to see kind of how people are responding to the vaccine. Is the vaccine safe? Is it making people ill in other ways that they didn't expect? And then they'll probably comparing the people in the placebo group with the people who actually got the real vaccine.
While the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is still in trial phase, Mr. Walker feels any vaccine will help get us back to normal.
Whatever vaccine anybody has a chance of getting, I think would be a really important thing.
At this point, millions of vaccines have been given with minimal side effects. However, in rare cases, reactions have occurred and people have a history of allergies to things like nuts and shellfish.
Well, it's an interesting case for me because with my severe allergy, I actually am advised not to take it because many people have had anaphylactic shock reactions to it.
While there are still some unanswered questions, the COVID-19 vaccine seems to be the best progress we've made at stopping the spread of COVID-19. Reporting for Panther TV, I'm Tyler Spicer.
Between job cuts and furloughs, many people have found themselves struggling to make ends meet over the last year. One major need that continues is food. Panther TV's Nick Ahern has more on how one local church is trying to help.
For a lot of people, COVID has been a boring time sitting at home doing nothing. However, for some, it has been a stressful time trying to support their families and stressful for those trying to help them to achieve that. Here at St. Bonaventure Food Pantry, it is the responsibility of volunteers to prepare food for those who need it. Today, we will be seeing how they get that done.
For those of you who know St. Bonaventure, you probably know it primarily for the church itself. However, it also has a food pantry to serve families in need. It has a very humble beginning to where it is today.
It was started by Sister Jeremy Horgan, I think in the early 80s. Just literally a little closet in the hall, and she would just give people what they needed. If she had it, she gave it.
As far as what it has become since then, last year alone they served 5,500 people that visited the pantry 1,700 times. The pantry gave out 10,500 bags. As far as what's inside those bags,
they follow guidelines, 3 bags from the FDA about nutritional guidelines that they need to adhere to. So for non-perishables, they'll get pastas, whole grains, canned vegetables, that sort of thing. And then we give them whatever else we have, whether it be a protein of chicken, fish, pork, beef, that usually comes frozen. If we have any dairy, like eggs, cheese, or milk, we usually give that. And then whatever fresh produce that we get.
However, this all changed when COVID struck. They found themselves with more people to feed and less volunteers, and the whole system had changed. This gave 2 students, as well as myself, a chance to help out the food pantry and help those in need. One student, Luke Consolati, when asked how it feels to help people, said this.
It feels good to help the community around me and know that I'm helping out the people who need it the most.
Fellow volunteer, Madison Ahern, had this to say.
I started volunteering here because with the pandemic I had a lot of free time on my hands, and the usual volunteers weren't able to come in because of their age, so I knew that my help would mean a lot and that I'd be able to help people during this tough time.
If you are looking for something to do during this difficult time, there is a way for you to start volunteering here too. If interested, you can call Carol Holland at 508-224-3636, extension 125, and mention wanting to volunteer. Or you can use their website, www.stbonaventureplymouth.org, and fill out the form. If you are unable to volunteer yourself and still want to help out the community, you can drop off donations here at 803 State Road. They are open Monday through Friday or Sunday after Masses, 8:30 to 5, and they will accept donations said earlier. Reporting for Panther TV, I'm Nick Ahern.
A Plymouth South tradition carries on, in a new way. Here's Emma Pollock with more on how some seniors aren't letting COVID get in the way.
In December 2011, John Jaros, with the help of 2 other Plymouth South marketing students, started the event Lights of Hope. John spearheaded the idea after he lost his grandmother to the battle of cancer, but was touched by the level of kind and careness she had received at BID Plymouth Cancer Services. However, in 2015, John tragically passed away in a car accident, but his brother Jake Jaros, who is also a member of the Plymouth South marketing program, wanted to carry on the tradition of Lights of Hope in memory of his grandmother and brother. Ever since John's passing, it has been the mission of the Plymouth South marketing family to do just that, carry on the tradition of Lights of Hope. It's a new year with a new twist on an annual Plymouth South marketing tradition. This January, Plymouth South marketing seniors thought outside the box to carry on the Lights of Hope event despite COVID-19 restrictions. While in the past, Plymouth residents strolled through the Brewster Gardens following the lights to the Plymouth Gristmill, that wasn't an option this year. So seniors Abby Fitzpatrick, Lily Christian, and myself suggested a new idea for our DECA project, bringing the lights to Plymouth South. Instead of walking through, people were able to drive through more than 300 luminaries lining the boulevard leading up to the high school.
Lights of Hope is a luminary display event that honors anyone that has been affected by cancer, and all of the proceeds from this event will be going to BID Plymouth Cancer Services.
While the event just lasts one night, months of preparation are needed. Throughout the time working on the project, we have had countless meetings with Miss Fry, Miss Sylvia, Plymouth Public Schools Communication Director Emily Goonan, along with Old Colony Memorial writer Rich Harper, and presented our project to every principal and administrator in the district.
So for this project, we have stayed after every single day until 4 o'clock almost to work on this project to make sure that everything is perfect and everything's going smoothly. Lots of our time has been taken up with meetings with other people and other schools and stuff.
Not only is this a community event, Lights of Hope is our senior DECA project and the accumulation of our high school marketing career.
So every year for marketing, the senior class always gets a group that's chosen to do the Lights of Hope event, and they will compete with the event at DECA. And this year we are competing with Lights of Hope as our category, community giving.
With COVID still playing a factor in 2021, DECA conferences are all virtual this year instead of being led in Anaheim, California.
So due to COVID this year, we are having all of our DECA conferences online and virtual, which is really hard, especially like our senior year. But we are very excited to have this project, to have our classes like come together and still be a part of DECA.
Although this year hasn't played out as expected, we were able to work around every obstacle in our way and are excited to present to the judges at the DECA State Conference in February. Through the generous donations of the Plymouth community, we were able to raise over $2,000 for BID Plymouth Cancer Services. We were so happy to put on this event despite COVID-19 restrictions. Reporting for Panther TV, I'm Emma Pollack.
Despite many setbacks this year, some winter sports are still on, but those too have taken on a bit of a different look. Here's Jennifer Rowland with more.
Amidst the global pandemic and all the stress facing our students, sports are one of the many things that they have to look forward to. Basketball and hockey were lucky enough to have a season this winter, but many new changes and rules have been put in place.
From face coverings to no jump balls, basketball players are making do with the changes they are facing.
There's definitely like a few like major changes with like, first of all, like there's no jump ball this year. And then there's definitely a lot of changes with like the out of bounds plays. You can only like throw it from out of bounds on the sidelines. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty like straightforward. It's just regular basketball other than the few changes. For the most part, it's not super impactful, but it definitely like changes like the beginning of the game with like the jump ball, and then like at the end of the game with like the free throw sets. You can only have like 2 defensive players in the free throw set. So it's definitely going to change like some strategies, but not too bad.
Another thing is we have a rule of like staying 6 feet apart whenever we inbound the ball, which a lot of people forget because like no one's really used to it, but it's working. It's working. Honestly, the sport itself is pretty much the same, other than like the few things that are changing. Like, it's not really the gameplay that changes this year. It's more so just like getting used to being separated and like keeping your stuff separated and like making sure you're doing the right things for your team. But the game as like a whole pretty much is the same, which is pretty good.
With the fear of rink closures this winter, hockey players are happy to see the start of their season despite the new rules put in place.
Some of them make us play differently, some of the rules. Obviously the first one is wearing a face mask under the helmet, which is tough because we're always moving fast, and so it's a lot of cardio, so it's tough with the face mask. And then we have to space out during drills, no battling with multiple people and stuff, so it's tough. There's definitely a lot of restrictions. The third man in rule, so no third person's allowed to go into battle and help out, so there's only 1v1 in the corners and stuff, so that's going to be a lot different.
Despite these changes, athletes are just happy to have a season.
Honestly, like for all the sports I play, I feel like the changes aren't really that big of a deal. I'm just really happy we get to play this year.
Personally, I'm just glad to like have like my main sport back and just to be able to play my junior season of it.
It's tough, you know, it's a lot different. It stinks for all of us, but we're just gonna play through it. We're just glad that we have a season.
For these athletes, having the opportunity to play a sport they love, some for the last time in high school, makes them happy to follow whatever rules are in place. Reporting for Panther TV, I'm Jennifer Rowland.
2020 is without a doubt a year that will go down in history. But one major part of that year that was also record-breaking went somewhat unnoticed. From flooding rains, a record number of hurricanes, to a major December nor'easter, 2020 was a wild weather year. Panther TV's own Justin Gates sits down for a one-on-one with a professional meteorologist to find out more.
Last year had many strange occurrences, and weather was not an exception. From wildfires in Colorado and California
to hurricanes making landfall all over the Gulf Coast, Mother Nature let us have it. If you turn on the Weather Channel on a Saturday or Sunday morning, you'll be greeted with a friendly face and lots of weather knowledge. Meteorologist Reynolds Wolf has been following weather for more than 25 years, and this year kept him busy.
We've had busy tropical seasons in the past that certainly this is a record year. We've had busy seasons that I don't think have ever gotten the attention they truly deserve because we had so many other distractions, so many other things happening. This year, we've really been forced to stop, tap the brakes, and watch and observe and really let it sink in.
As the hurricane season ramped up, Wolf found himself making several trips to the Gulf Coast into late October to cover storm after storm.
There are a lot of things. I mean, a lot of people point to a warming climate being one of the triggers for more hurricane activity. There are a lot of people that believe that we're just due, that the numbers are up, that we have trends, that sometimes we have seasons where we can have really very little activity, and there are times where things begin to ramp up. And this is just one of those seasons where not only did we have a lot of hurricane activity, but we had a lot of activity when these storms rumbled onshore. Why that's important is because we've had seasons in the past where you've had a large number of named storms, but they never made their way onshore. It's only when you have a tropical system that affects lives and communities that it really becomes a big story.
While last year has provided many challenges and restrictions on travel, television meteorologists found themselves traveling quite a bit as they are relied upon for up-to-date news and getting important safety information to citizens when bad weather strikes.
Traveling this year was insane. It really, really was. It's weird going, okay, first off, when we had COVID and everyone was locked at home, things are pretty quiet weather-wise. And then when the tropical season really got underway in the spring and during the summer, then all of a sudden, after being locked in homes for a long time, as a weather guy, you're forced to go out and you have to travel if you do what you do for the Weather Channel. And it's the weirdest thing in the world being in airports, being in hotels, and interacting with other people. We humans are we're visual creatures. And I'm a firm believer that a lot of communication goes on with not what I say, but rather with what you see. And you see my face. And to walk around in an airport and all of a sudden you can only see this much of a person and you're only communicating with eyes, not with the rest of the expression. It's kind of sad. I think it's sort of, we lose something. We lose a lot of the warmth of nonverbal expression, I think.
Whether it's tropical storms or winter storms, the job of a meteorologist never stops. And while some storms like our December nor'easter came out of the blue, Wolf does have a general prediction for the rest of our winter.
Make a forecast right now. I do think we're going to have a very active late season in terms of the winter. Like going into, when I say late season, maybe not December, January, but I think February and March could be very, very busy in terms of winter weather across much of the eastern seaboard. And we're due for it.
After spending months in quarantine, many people are starting off the new year with a new appreciation for our weather. Hopefully the feeling of love are reciprocated. Wishing for a calm 2021, I'm Justin Gates.
The name Wahlburg may be one of the most well-known in the Boston area. But this name doesn't just represent success in acting and music. It's also about culinary achievement. Panther TV's Ainsard Richardson talked to Chef Paul Wahlburg about his restaurants and how he fulfilled his dream.
You've heard the name, but do you know the story behind Wahlburgers? Today I'm here to introduce you to owner and executive chef Paul Wahlburg. Let's head inside to find out how he came up with the concept of this restaurant as well as the neighboring Almanove. Chef Paul Wahlburg has always loved cooking and has been working in the industry for a long time.
I started cooking when I was in high school. I was working catering as a kid, and a bunch of my friends were doing it, and I absolutely fell in love with the energy of working in the kitchen. And I've been doing it ever since. I've been cooking for about 30 years prior to opening restaurants.
His first venture was Almanove, located in the Hingham Shipyard, which opened in 2010. This restaurant has been booming ever since.
We had talked about, some partners and I were talking about, what we really thought, a vision would be, and we started with Almanove. And at the time, I was cooking Italian Mediterranean, and so really trying to find that piece, that restaurant that would really really make a statement of what it is that I love to do. And my biggest goal is to make customers happy.
In 2011, Wahlburg was ready for his second venture, opening the first Wahlburgers restaurant across the street in Hingham. Since then, the fast casual concept has grown tremendously, with locations in 19 states, as well as Canada, Germany, and soon in Australia.
It's all about customer satisfaction and making people happy. But because of the reality show and things like that, it's opened up more opportunities, obviously, for Wahlburgers.
Although Chef Paul plans to continue to expand in the future and feels very fortunate for the success of his restaurants, he's still focused on the small details and providing a quality meal for his customers.
My biggest concern is the next hamburger that walks out of Wahlburgers and the next meal that walks out of Almanove. Because right now, especially during COVID and things like that, we're all trying to do the best we can. We would like, whatever Wahlburgers becomes, that's what it becomes. Whatever Almanove becomes, that's what it becomes. We're going to expand, and there's opportunities that present themselves. But ideally, I just want to make whoever walks in the door happy at that moment.
Chef Paul Wahlberg is very happy with how his restaurants and business have grown, but he's very excited for what the future holds. Reporting for Panther TV, I'm Ainsley Richardson.
That's our time for today.
Thanks for joining us. Have a great day, South.